The Golden State Warriors badly needed a response after a frustrating stretch on the road. They got one in San Antonio. Stephen Curry delivered 46 points. Jimmy Butler added steady shot creation. And by the final buzzer, the Warriors walked off with a 125-120 win that eased some of the pressure around the team. But after the win, Steve Kerr offered a thoughtful response about Curry's performance that added a different layer to the night. When asked about Curry's performance, Kerr joked that it felt routine. Once he learned it was the superstar's 73rd career 40-point game, the coach quickly shifted gears. His next words carried a little more weight. Speaking to reporters, Kerr said Curry is the reason the Warriors have become what they are. He followed it up with a comparison Spurs fans know well. "He's our Tim Duncan," Kerr said in his post-game presser. "He's the sun in our solar system. Everything we do revolves around him." It was a moment that added real perspective to Curry's impact, not just on the game, but on the entire franchise. Why Kerr's words hit different for the Warriors. Comparisons like this are not thrown around lightly, especially by someone with Kerr's resume. He won championships alongside Michael Jordan in Chicago. He played with Tim Duncan in San Antonio during the Spurs dynasty years. And for more than a decade, he has coached Stephen Curry, guiding him through 4 championships and multiple MVP seasons. So when Kerr brings up Duncan as the frame of reference, it speaks to his understanding of what a true franchise cornerstone looks like because he has lived it from both sides. Duncan was the anchor of the San Antonio Spurs for nearly 20 years. A culture setter, a steadying force, a superstar who lifted the entire organization season after season. Curry fills that same role for Golden State. His arrival transformed the franchise from the inside out. Offensively, the Warriors became something entirely new once the system was built around his shooting and movement. Even the rest of the league shifted in response, adapting to the pace and spacing his style demanded. For titles, 2 MVPs. An identity that still centers on everything he brings. When Kerr calls him the sun, it's not hyperbole. It's a reflection of how central Curry is and has been to everything the Warriors have built. A compliment that extends to San Antonio, too. Kerr's comment didn't just spotlight Curry. It also nodded directly to the legacy of Tim Duncan, a player Kerr knows as well as anyone after winning 2 titles alongside him in San Antonio. Duncan has long been viewed as the model for what a franchise pillar should be. No flash. No unnecessary noise. Just elite consistency, leadership, and a standard of winning that stretched across 3 different decades. His approach shaped an entire era of Spurs basketball. So when Kerr mentions Duncan while discussing Curry, it's less about placing players on tiers and more about recognizing a familiar blueprint. Both stars transformed their organizations. Both brought stability, identity, and championship DNA. And both became the defining force behind extended runs of success. For a young Spurs team building around Victor Wembanyama, the reference also acts as a quiet reminder of what that role once looked like in San Antonio and what it can look like again. Warriors' bottom line. The win over the Spurs mattered. Golden State needed something to steady themselves after a rough stretch on the road, and Curry's brilliance did exactly that. Kerr's comments added another layer to the night. Curry sets the tone for everything the Warriors run. His presence anchors the group, and his game still lifts their ceiling when they need it most. Beyond the numbers, Curry defines the team's identity. He's been the constant through every era of their success. And he remains the type of franchise cornerstone every organization hopes to build around. So when Kerr drew the comparison to Tim Duncan, it framed Curry's impact in a way that felt fitting, a reminder of just how foundational he is to everything Golden State continues to chase. Sharpshooting guard Steph Curry dropped a season-high 46 points against the San Antonio Spurs on Wednesday, guiding the Golden State Warriors to a 125-120 victory. The performance marked Curry's 12th 40-point outing since he turned 35, tying Michael Jordan for most such games by a player in their late 30s. Curry is now just 3 40-point games away from equaling 40-year-old Los Angeles Lakers forward LeBron James, who has mustered 15 40-point games since turning 35. Steph Curry in a league by himself. The 37-year-old Curry has also overtaken James for most 45-point games by a player after turning 35. Amazingly, Curry has 7 such performances in 188 games since turning 35, while James has 6 in 385 contests. It's worth noting that Curry now has 43 40-point games since turning 30, another remarkable feat. He is just one shy of equaling Michael Jordan's mark of 44. After Wednesday's game, Curry spoke of being in the same rarefied air as MJ. "That's pretty good company for sure," Curry said of nearing Jordan's record. "We needed every bit of them, the 46 points, tonight. Everybody stepped up. Considering how last night went against the OKC Thunder, we came with great energy, top to bottom. That third quarter is what we do. Getting vibes, pushing, creating easy offense. And thankfully, I was able to knock a couple down. But yeah, I'll take that company for sure." Warriors pull off upset. The Warriors, who walked into Wednesday's game as -4.5 underdogs, pulled off a huge upset win over Victor Wembanyama's Spurs, ending their early season funk. Entering the game, they had lost 5 of their last 7 games, and the excessive losing led to a lot of blame game and locker room tension. After the win, Warriors head coach Steve Kerr acknowledged the importance of his team regrouping, but made it clear that they didn't panic amid the losing streak. "We weren't exactly panicking," Kerr said of his team's mindset via ESPN's Anthony Slater. "We were 6-6, and there's 70 games left. But we needed to rediscover our identity." Curry said that the veteran Warriors group, led by himself, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler, knew they needed a win to quieten the mounting pressure. "When you lose, you got to assess what's going on," he said. "Don't be afraid of changes. That means everybody being ready to adapt to whatever you have to do. We've been around the block long enough and have enough experience to know we can address stuff and not make it personal," he added. "It's everybody taking accountability and ownership. Keeping it real. We'll probably do it 4 more times the rest of the season." The Warriors, 7-6, will once again face the Spurs on Friday night as part of a 6-game road trip that will continue with stops in New Orleans, Orlando, and Miami. The dismissal of Nico Harrison as general manager of the Dallas Mavericks came as no real surprise on Tuesday, but it certainly does open some intrigue on what the franchise chooses to do next and how rival teams like the Golden State Warriors could take advantage on the trade market. The Warriors don't have the financial means to necessarily go out and acquire injury-prone star Anthony Davis, whose future is now in question, but an alternative big man in Daniel Gafford may be a more realistic target for Mike Dunleavy Jr. and the front office. Warriors could be one of many teams looking at trading for Daniel Gafford. Harrison had claimed he was after short-term success when he made the astonishing decision to trade Luka Doncic 9 months ago, and that remained the case even with the equally stunning acquisition of the number 1 overall pick and young star Cooper Flagg. The start to this season has not only reiterated that Harrison was completely wrong for pulling the Doncic trade, but that the Mavericks are a long way from the sort of championship contention they crave. Harrison's firing means Dallas may now be more open to prioritizing the Flagg timeline, making them potential sellers before the mid-season deadline amid an awful 3-8 start to the season. Even before the Mavericks parted ways with their now infamous former general manager, there was rising speculation of Gafford's availability according to NBA insider Mark Stein on Sunday. The Mavericks knew they would field trade interest in veteran center Daniel Gafford from the moment they signed him to a 3-year, $54.4 million contract extension in late June. That was the maximum that the Mavericks could pay the 27-year-old and keep him trade-eligible during the season through the February 5th trade deadline, Stein wrote. A healthy Gafford could certainly add a rebounding and rim-protecting presence that the Warriors still need at times, giving them an upgrade on what they thought Tracy Jackson-Davis might be for them by his 3rd season. Gafford has recently returned from injury to make 6 appearances for the Mavericks so far this season, averaging 8.5 points, 5.0 rebounds, and 1.2 blocks in 20.2 minutes per game. The 27-year-old averaged 12.3 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 1.8 blocks last season, having been a key part of the franchise's run to the NBA Finals the year before. Gafford is making $14.4 million this season, making salary matching tricky, but not impossible. The bigger question might be whether the Warriors are comfortable with a 3-year, $54 million extension that's already been handed to him, having proven unwilling to spend much from a financial perspective on big men over the past decade. Any Golden State interest in Gafford will also be dependent on the form of Al Horford and Quinton Post, along with Jackson Davis, who will still get opportunity on nights when Horford is resting.